So one of the things that most coaches do is when one's going out and another one's coming in, if it's a positive situation, you try to touch bases and give cliff notes, so to speak, of things that you're leaving behind, and him and I got an opportunity to do that. But as far as the inner workings of how his structure, his defense, the way he did things or the way we did things, the answer is no.
Steve?
I'm curious, as you kind of look at film from some of the downfield passing plays that opposing teams have had success against you, how much of it is personnel? How much of it is missed assignments? What do you kind of take away from when you see those?
It's kind of both. I mean, you can see it too. I mean, you know when the guy's there and he doesn't make the play, or there's nobody around and there's no way that guy can be that wide open when he's that tall and he's a single digit and he's running through the middle of your defense. You guys, that is something that you guys can see, and you guys can figure that one out.
Are there adjustments that you could make if maybe you weren't as banged up and had better personnel to kind of fit your scheme?
Sure.
But what?
It all depends on which things you're talking about. You always can make adjustments if you've got better personnel. There's always different things that you can do, and you have to do things based off your personnel.
Within the secondary, are there coverages that you can't run right now based on what you have?
Absolutely correct.
Is there a percentage of stuff you can and can't use? Is it a lot of stuff you can't do that you think is integral to your Tampa 2?
There's certain things you can't do because the personnel is not capable of doing it. And then if you ask somebody to do something they're not capable of doing.
Right. So I guess what I'm asking is how much stuff?
There's a lot of stuff. So that's why you get the personnel better. There's more things that you can do.
Okay.
Other questions? John in front.
We saw Sean Riley and Devin Butler out on offensive snaps at receiver throughout the game yesterday. Is that something that you're expecting to use more throughout the season, or was that specific to Notre Dame, or just the amount of receivers?
Anytime when you try to make sure that your guys stay fresh. And the hardest thing with freshmen is that they're not used. There's a big age gap. And when you're asking them to play varsity or college football and they're straight out of high school, there's usually such a big strength and experience type gap that it's hard for them to play. But we're going into our 6th game now. Okay, depending on what happens in our season, we're going to be halfway done when this game is over. Is that correct? I want to make sure my math is right. So really, the freshmen are starting to get older, and you got to start getting them out there so they can get experience, so that next year it's not the first time that they're ever going out there when you think that they're going to have a bigger role for you.
Second row on the right.
I just want to piggyback off the Coach Clawson question at the beginning. What relationship, if any, do you have with him right now?
We're both in the ACC conference. We say hi to each other. We talk about stuff, but outside of that, that's about it. But that's the same relationship I would have with Jimbo Fisher or anybody else. I mean, we're extremely busy. So to have a conversation with somebody inside of football is rare.
You go.
Coach, just what you've seen from Wake Forest so far. Obviously, they had that nice 4-0 start on Saturday, but obviously it's the best start they've had in years. Just what you've seen from them so far.
Obviously a very confident team based off of their record, based off of some of the opponents and the style of play. They haven't had a lot of injuries, so they're playing with the same personnel that they started the season with, which is outside of the one injury that they had, which is really a good thing, which means that they're able to work their entire package, and they're still working the same package that they had from 2 days. They're a good unit, and it's going to be a really tough game.
Nate?
So a lot of players come in here having won a lot in high school, and they come here and they get on the field early, and maybe they don't quite have that same level of success. And I imagine on some level that's defeating for some guys. I'm wondering how you go about trying to push them through that on a daily basis and kind of make them believe that they can be winners again.
Well, I think the main thing is the process. The process is there are certain things that you have to do. If you do those things, you're going to give yourself an opportunity to win. They need to stay locked in on the process. and not get caught up on what the scoreboard is or get caught up on what other people are doing around them. You know, those are the things they need to lock in on. And I'd be surprised to see, you say that all these guys were winning out of high school, that'd be interesting to see how many of them really were. I mean, there's people that get recruited off of losing football teams just like they do winning football teams. But winning is a process. You need to stay focused on the little things so the big things can happen.
Tad?
Coach, good morning to you. What kind of strengths do you think you can take away from the past games that you want to take into the game this weekend?
Our strengths?
Yes, defensively especially.
I thought that when it came to like our gap integrity or soundness of being in the right gaps, I think that was good from a defensive standpoint. We had the one running back that we had, everybody was where they were supposed to be, and then he reversed the field and he made that long run. That just came down to guys not making the play. But as far as the guys being in the right position to give them an opportunity to make the play, I thought that that was obviously very good on our part. You know, from an offensive standpoint, I think that there's certain things that we do extremely well, and then there's certain things that we need to do a better job of. They're going to be able to recognize those things on tape, and then we're going to have to see if they're going to be able to take them away, or when they do take them away, whether we have something else that we have to go to. And then from a special team standpoint, we're playing more and more people, but even in that instance, they still have to be able to do their jobs, and we can't have as many plays that were negative for us in that facet of our game. It's extremely difficult to win a game when you're battling uphill with so many negative plays in the kicking game.
Mark?
Coach, you mentioned Wake's a confident team. Where's your team? Offensively, getting off great starts. Defense, 3 of the last 4 games, giving up a lot of points. So where's your team confidence?
I think we're somewhere in the middle. You know, let's look at it through open eyes. I think that we have an opportunity to be good. We're fighting uphill. We've had a lot of injuries. We've got a lot of young people playing, and we still have an opportunity to be good. We just have to circle the wagons and keep believing in what we're doing, and I think we'll have a chance.
Time for 2 more questions, Stephen and Nico.
I know it was better against Notre Dame, but the offense has been really successful early on and not quite as consistent throughout. We've asked you about adjustments or mental mistakes. One of the things that I think I was talking about with Chris, I don't know if he's here, was is there any fatigue element to it for the guys on offense? Do you think that has any factor into drop passes or missed assignment or that kind of stuff?
You know, I wouldn't say it for drop passes. I think when you get some of the backups that are playing in physical roles, I think there's the fatigue of being a 1 and being a 2. I think there's some truth to that. But again, the longer you play in that starting role, the more that shouldn't even be an issue. You know, I mean, I can't remember how many games everybody's played, but we're at the stage now where, you know, maybe the first game, maybe the half of the second game, but by the third game, we shouldn't be talking about that. And from a skill standpoint, I don't think that's an issue at all. It's just a matter of concentration and doing what you know you can do. You know, there was a bunch of drop passes in that game that we just played, and think about that game being played with 1 or 2 drop passes, and what would have happened with momentum and first downs and the things that you were capable of doing. Now, you know, it's a big stage in NFL stadium and TV and lights, camera, action, and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is it's 120 yards long, it's a 53 1/3 yards wide, and it's the exact same field that we practice on every day. And you would hope that the guys will start to digest that, because we're going to have opportunities not only this year, but down the road to play on even bigger stages and even bigger games than what we've played in. And hopefully they're adjusting and they're getting ready for that, because that's what's going to happen with this program. We're going to be in big games and we're going to be on big stages.
That string of drops, I think the first 3 drives in the third quarter, there were drops on each one that hurt you. Do you think, you kind of hinted at maybe like nerves or something, is that something that happens after halftime? You know, it's kind of weird that it all happened at that juncture. It's just something happened, circumstance.
I'm just too level-keeled to believe that, you know, you get some orange juice and you eat an orange and all of a sudden you're nervous. You know what I mean? It's the same thing that's been going, you know, for 30 minutes you did it, now you get a chance to get some rest and come out fresh. You know, I'm not gonna jump on that one. You guys make the call on that. I think, you know, as a competitor, I would like to think it really doesn't matter.
Last question, Nico?
In similar regards to the Notre Dame game, you had a couple days to look at everything. Is it a sign of progress or encouraging for you, given the opponent and the players Notre Dame asked, that the offense was able to do so much? I know things slowed down a little bit in the second half, but one possession game at the break, and there were chances in the second half. So, is it a sign of progress for you to see what the offense was able to do, given the level of opponent you saw Saturday?
You know, we were talking to the team. I was talking to the team after the game, and I believe there was like 4 plays from a defensive standpoint where they, like 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns, 270 yards on 4 plays, scored on the opening play. You have the 2 or 3 drives in the second half where you don't convert, you have a drop in the end zone, this or that. And then you have, our worst special teams day. And you think about all that, and you think about not giving up that many yards on defense, or not having the worst special teams day of the year, or doing better in the third quarter than you've ever done. And you look at that game and you go, wow. And then you think back that we're 4 or 5 games deep, and we're not even 4 or 5 games deep with the exact same personnel. So, I look at it totally different than that. I look at it totally differently. I think the process is working. I think the process is going to be fine. There's certain things that are not there yet, but the things that are not there, we will either develop or we will bring in. And I think when it's all said and done, you guys will like the cake that we're baking. Right now is not the time to eat the batter. Wait for us to bake the cake.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. You guys bake cakes?
Matters.